What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazique of Heavy Presents I'm Just Saying with Brian Mazique, and it's my pleasure today to get an opportunity to talk to ESPN analyst and one of the best football follows you can probably have on Twitter, Mina Kimes. How are you doing today, Mina?
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So it's a lot to talk about just overall in the NFL world. So many side stories and things like that going on. Just as an NFL consumer, I have some interest in, right? So I'm always trying to figure out the best ways to consume NFL content. So can you talk to me a little bit about how NFL viewing works when you're talking about Sling? Because there's a lot of people interested in different ways of, kind of getting to see the games and the action they're interested in.
Yeah, well, I would say it goes beyond NFL. For me personally, just kind of speaking to my own experience as someone who travels a lot and has to watch a lot of sports right now, college football and NFL, and then when the NBA starts soon, that as well. And it can be difficult for me because like I'm on the road a lot, not even, sometimes you're in a hotel room, you don't know what channels you're going to get. I'm on a plane. So what I like about Sling in that capacity is it's kind of all in one place. I can watch all the ESPN channels, including whether it's Monday Night Football or some of the college football stuff on Saturdays and during the week, and then Red Zone on Sundays, NBA TV. So it's just kind of like all in one place, which I find really convenient because otherwise I'd have to go hunt down each individual channel. So it's very nice in that way.
So cool. So it's like interface is pretty like user friendly for somebody who just starts in the whole nine.
That's a very good way to put it. I am the dumbest person on earth when it comes to like technology, and it just literally it says sports. So I'm like, great, sports, and then I can find it's all in sports. Which, if you're as bad at me as handling all of that stuff, it's very useful.
Gotcha. So I got to talk to you a little bit. I watch you and I listen to what you say. It's really always very entertaining on Around the Horn and, all of the other ESPN shows. But I heard you say today you were talking. I don't think it was today, actually. At least I saw the clip today. I'm not sure if it was from today. And you were talking about the rookie quarterbacks and the different situations. So as someone who, like, I cover the Patriots. I've covered the Patriots every day pretty much for the last 2 years. But I grew up in Chicago. So I got like a really direct connection to two of these rookie quarterback situations in a big way. But I got to ask, if you had to give like a single word to use to describe the situations for Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Mac Jones, what one-word situation is each of those guys in?
Oh, that's a great way to put it. Okay, I'll start with Trey Lance. Fantastic. I think it's a good situation. He has not played much, and maybe that it'll look worse when he does. But I think just in terms of the play caller, the offensive line, weapons at his disposal, when he does start, it is a good situation. Even if he makes mistakes, that doesn't change that. Mac Jones is the one who I think of the quarterbacks who has started, at least he's won a game, and there are moments when he looks more comfortable. But I will say the word I would go with there is underwhelming, because I actually thought it would look better before the season. I thought it was like almost on a Trey Lance level where he was walking into an optimal situation. There's been lapses in protection. I've personally had some questions about the play calling. I think some of it does fall on Mac's shoulders in terms of lack of aggression, pushing the ball downfield. Some of it is play calling, but it's been underwhelming compared to what it could be, especially relative to the other rookie quarterbacks. And this is where it gets a little uglier. So you and I are taping before Thursday Night Football, so we'll see how Trevor Lawrence does. That one I would say is muddled because some of it is on the play calling and the protection and sort of general confusion with what the skill players are doing. But I think also some of it falls upon his shoulders. He's been through 3 weeks pressing in ways, obviously with the turnovers, that it's muddled because sometimes he looks like he's not taking care of the football at all and making sort of errors that are uncharacteristic, or at least not what we saw in college. Other times he flashes the talent you did see at Clemson, and you see kind of the potential there. And then we get to the really ugly, and that is what Zach Wilson and Justin Fields are dealing with right now. And I guess I'll just stay ugly for both of them. And I'll do because with that one, I think, yeah, it's bad. It's not great, man. And I think with fans and analysts is trying to kind of wade through how much of this is the young quarterback, how much of it is the situation, the teams. I think, especially in the case of Chicago, scheme. And I think, you really do have to spread the blame around. But I think those two quarterbacks are both in very adverse conditions, and it shows.
Yeah, I just did a segment actually on Zach Wilson, and I would love to hear what you had to say about this. But of all of them, I'm gonna be honest, I think he worries me the most because he is a guy who has all kinds of arm talent. We knew about that. And there's some questionable decisions about what's an open window and what isn't. A reluctance to take check downs and that sort of thing. And the part that scares me is that that's the aspect of his game that he was seemingly praised for at BYU. Yeah. That was kind of like that whole moxie was kind of like what made him attractive to people. And now all of a sudden he's got 7 interceptions in 3 weeks. So does that would you say that he kind of like seems I guess they're all to a degree somewhat in a broken situation, except for Trey Lance who's throwing one pass. But would you find his to be the most worrisome?
Yeah, I actually would. Him and Fields are pretty close because with Fields, it's also like there's the question of is this going to get better around him, right? We'll see what happens with the coaching. With Zach, you're absolutely right. I think what you pinpointed there in terms of the qualities that were touted coming into the NFL, really, that was a mistake on the part of people who maybe watched him because at BYU, he was excellent, but he was also playing in a dream situation behind a brick wall of an offensive line against inferior competition. So in some ways, we should have always anticipated that there would be a rocky adjustment, a period to what you're talking about with terms of like the NFL windows and such, especially given the slate of defenses he had to play early on. Carolina, New England, and Denver. I think those are 3 of the best defenses in the NFL. And with Carolina, I think it was spooky at first. Now we realize, oh, wait, that defense is good. I think week 1, maybe people didn't know. But unfortunately for Zach, it's a tough schedule. There aren't a lot of cupcakes in terms of like the defenses he gets to face, especially playing in the AFC East. But I do think of all the quarterbacks, there should be some patience preached, not just because of how bad the Jets are, but because of where he's coming from.
Exactly. Yeah, I would totally agree. Let's talk a little bit about like this is kind of a somewhat big game on Sunday night. A little bit big game. Patriots-Bucs. So obviously there's going to be a lot of attention on Brady, Gronk, and Mac Jones or whatever. And they're going to have the biggest spotlight on them. But aside from them, what other player, I would say like on both sides, do you think that we kind of need to be watching because that person could be a potential difference maker for either New England or Tampa?
Yeah, okay. So for New England, other than the quarterback, I would say Kendrick Bourne was really actually really good in week 3. Could have been even better. I thought Mac Jones missed him a few times. And Tampa's weakness is their secondary, just lack of depth right now. For Patriots to have any chance in this game, I mean, you can't run the football against Tampa. Mac Jones has to air it out. So Bourne is one I think has really jumped out. I would also say the tight ends have been very underwhelming in terms of free agent signings so far, and getting them more involved in the passing game would help as well. Again, against if you're looking for weaknesses in Tampa, it would be in coverage. So that's a player I would point to on the Patriots. And then as far as Tampa goes, I would say this is kind of weird, but Ali Marpet had a challenging time against Aaron Donald, and he's very good. And everyone in New England knows the drill with Tom Brady. It's all about that interior pressure. So unless New England can get consistent pressure, I don't really see the secondary holding up. I've been really impressed early on by Christian Barmore, the rookie. Matt Judon has been as disappointing as the tight ends have been. I think he's lived up to the billing and more as a pass rusher. So I would say with Tampa, it's all about pressuring Brady, and especially on the inside.
I love that. I love that. You hear so many people talking about this game, and I think you're the first person I've heard mention Ali Marpet, and that is absolutely, I think, spot on, because you got to keep pressure out of Brady's face, and I think that's absolutely spot on. So
Y'all know,
now,
y'all used to
yeah,
it in New England.
yeah,
You know the drill.
you'll see. So, all right. So we're talking about the Bears a little bit, and I think we both agree that it's a really tough situation right now. So they're 3 weeks in. It's a hot mess. In an ideal 14 to 15 weeks that's left of the 2021 NFL season for the Bears, what does the front office, ownership, or the coaching staff need to do to salvage something from what, if this doesn't change, is going to be like a nightmarish campaign?
Yeah, it's all about seeing some sort of development for Justin Fields. It's not about winning football games. And I think the question is, okay, well, what can you do to maximize that possibility, and is it even feasible, or should you just have Andy Dalton in there? I mean, if Andy Dalton plays, it's essentially a lost season, candidly, but you have to figure out what's best with your young quarterback. Can he even develop right now, given the state of the offensive line and the play calling? And I think that's a difficult question to ask, because the people making those decisions are the ones who are on the hot seat. And I don't know, frankly, if it's even possible based on what we saw in Justin Fields' first start. I do think it'll likely, literally cannot be worse than what we saw. I think, it was so hard to pinpoint one thing too. I know Matt Nagy's taken a lot of criticism. I think a lot of it has been fair, but when you went back and rewatched, everybody deserves a little bit of blame, from the receivers running the routes to the blocking, to some of the missed assignments throughout, to Fields occasionally holding the ball a little bit too long. So I think you want to see progressive improvement, and ideally moments like you saw even in the Bengals game when he came in relief, where it wasn't a breakout effort, but you at least felt good about certain moments with him in a way that you didn't in his first start.
Yeah, I totally agree. So staying on that with the Bears, and then my final question will be about Patriots and Bucks. If you could fill in the blank of this sentence, if the Bears don't beat the Lions.
Well, it depends if Andy Dalton's starting or Justin Fields is starting. I would say if the Bears don't beat the Lions, Nagy might as well be out the door at this point. But I do think, like, for example, if Fields starts, it's not about wins and losses. It's about how he looks. Yeah. And there's a world in which they lose, but he looks better, where I actually think Bears fans still feel okay. I cannot stress this enough. It's all about the quarterback.
Absolutely. And finally, if the Patriots lose to the Bucs,
I won't be surprised. I think if the reverse happens, it would be really shocking. And the Bucs should win this game. So if the Patriots pull it out, I think then I work at ESPN. God knows we're going to have some Belichick Brady discussions the following week. Wow. But it would be a real testament to Bill Belichick, because the only way I see them winning is a coaching masterpiece, frankly. And he's done it before.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time today, Mina, for sure. Just for the record, I got it 34-10 Bucs. Hopefully I'm wrong, but we'll see what happens.
34-10. Wow.
34-10.
Okay.
I think I see a defensive touchdown in there as well. I think it might get ugly. About as ugly as that sweatshirt Bill Belichick wore to that press conference last year. That was kind of scary. Yeah, that was kind of scary. So, all right, Mina, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. You have a great one.
Thanks, Brian.